said, you know what you want from the book and what you want to get out of the book. So it might not be healthy for you to finish a book, and it might be healthy for you to finish the book. So you must always look at that. I mean, novels are a different thing, because then basically it's for entertainment, and you do learn certain things if your point is learning, because my point is always, what did I get out of this thing? But if you are reading a specific self-help book and you were looking for a certain aspect, it's okay to say, you know what, I actually do not agree with this method of spirituality. And when you consider reading a certain author, like I said, you might not agree their background, you might not agree with their background and what they stand for, and you might, but again, that does not dismiss the amount of wisdom or knowledge they have on a certain subject that you might not have. So you might be like, I don't actually agree with Maya Angelou on this aspect, but I would like to read what she says about relationships, kind of situation.
That's powerful. I think that can help. I mean, myself also, because I found myself reading Mark Manson.
Okay.
Everything is so the subtle art of not doing. Yeah. So I just found myself thinking, okay, a couple of things are being dragged, and maybe what I need is just this portion. I think that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I've watched one of your videos on Instagram, and you spoke about the type of reading that you like to do, and it's African literature. And I mean, already you've made mention of African literature. Why is that?
You would think that I would want to learn more about other places, but I felt like I do not relate to those spaces, and found that I would like to read a book written by a Tsonga woman, speaking about Tsonga things. You get me? These are the kind of things I'm talking about, that you want to hear. Sometimes you want to hear the voice that you know or you relate to. So also, the first understand what's happening in our sister countries or brother countries, and that is important for me. Other than that, I'm more into books that are about growth and self-development.
That's very nice. So there are certain myths around reading, right? And again, look, I go through I stalk your IGTV a bit. So you made mention of certain myths around reading. Do you want to just maybe take me through that and why you ended up actually sharing that video? What was the trigger for you to share that video?
So before I focused on reading seriously, I always had books in university, but I thought I don't have the time, and there's no money. You need money for books.
Yeah, they're expensive.
And anyway, I'm studying. I've studied for how many years? For 6 years.
Yeah.
What's there to learn?
Yeah.
So these were the same questions that I had, and then I found out just last year, 2020, that these are just myths surrounding reading. And the first one is about time. We lie to ourselves about time, that I do not have time to invest in myself in the form of reading. Yes, I'll invest in myself in the form of enjoying time with friends, resting, exercising, but no form of intellectual investment outside of your work area or your workspace or your profession. So I had to dispel that myth for myself, that this really is about priorities. And when I figured out that you do have the time, it's just priorities, I started to cut off certain things, because then I needed to make time for the reading, and that was movies and series for me. And then I do not watch as many series or movies as I used to. And then another one is thinking that you are so smart. And I've had this with a lot of intellectuals, people with degrees and whatever, who feel like, what
more can you learn?
Yeah, what more can you learn? I already read at school, I studied law, what more can I learn? And reading really gives you a different perspective, because you cannot be an expert in everything, firstly. And in order to be wise, you must be able to listen to different perspectives and different voices. To have fruitful discussions outside of your work area, you need to know something outside of what you know. So that, I think, for me was the biggest thing. Like, I need to learn other things outside of what I know, because your daily life actually doesn't require the knowledge of the law as much as it requires the knowledge of life. And the knowledge of life we will find from different experts, you know.
Okay, that's beautiful, because I think there are a lot of people who did, I mean, just to the point of your daily life doesn't use up what you study. I mean, people go, when in a normal conversation, or when I'm asking a girl out, do I need theorem of Pythagoras, right, from maths, you know?
Exactly,
So it's
exactly.
So no, I fully agree with that. There's something that you, I mean, again, a video of yours where you made mention of paying attention. I think it was your pay attention series, right? Why? I related to it, right? Because it's more pay attention to what you pay attention to, right? And I think quite recently, I mean, with this COVID pandemic, so many things being said, right? Some true, some not. But you know, your life or mindset ends up being consumed by these things that are out there, right? True or not. So why did you feel the need, or what does it mean for you to pay attention to what you pay attention to? And what, again, made you need to share that message?
Okay, there's two questions. One is about why did I feel the need to do the video?
Yeah.
And the other one is, why is it important?
Yes, to pay attention to, yes. What does it mean to you to pay attention to what you pay attention to?
Okay, the pay attention series was very personal for me. It was from the things that I experience on a daily and how I respond to those things. So the one you're specifically speaking about, which is pay attention to what you pay attention to, was during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, you were either at home, but somehow being influenced. Social media, what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're reading. And I thought that protecting your space is everything. Protecting your environment is everything, because that determines how you even respond to the environment. So there are certain things we cannot control. We could not control COVID coming into the play area, coming into our lives, but we controlled how we responded to that. But if you were feeding yourself of negativity, of the news half the time, you were going to respond in fear. And for you to be healthy, you still needed to be in a good mental space. So I did that series personally because I know how social media has influenced me. It has so much power, it has so much impact that people don't realize that the things that they say or the things that they put out affects people. It affects your self-esteem, it affects your soul, basically. So that series came from that if I spend too much time watching videos of luxury, you start to believe that your life is insufficient, or wherever you are, or whatever you do and wherever you are is not where you're supposed to be. We start to miss the point. We do not want to delay gratification. We are in this, actually our generation is there now. Nobody wants to delay gratification. Nobody wants to work for something. Nobody wants to believe that time actually needs to do what it needs to do. You need to be processed. You need to be worked on, kind of thing. And social media has done that for us because we actually do not see what lies behind. And in one of the videos, I was speaking about pay attention to how you answer to things, because you actually don't know what lies behind that. Once you find out the source, then you can respond differently. Although it's not easy to find out the source, but you can find out the heart behind certain things. Okay, I'm dragging this answer.
Not at all. It's insightful. It's really insightful. So, what are your top 3 books? I'm probably putting you on the spot here. because like, which one is your favorite, baby? But like, what are your top 3 books of 2019, 2021, if you've read a lot now?
Okay, I'm gonna try and remember, but I do have a video on that as well. I think one of them was The Road Less Traveled. I I have recommended this book quite a few times now, and I'm sure everyone is gonna get tired of it. But I need to say this: the highlight of the book is how it emphasizes choice. It emphasizes responsibility. That everything you do is your choice. And once you start to accept and realize that every single thing that you do is your choice, you start to live in freedom. While you project and say that it's the world's fault, or I'm here because of XYZ, you remain a victim. But once you start to own up your decisions, you start to soar. So I like that book because in every single chapter he emphasizes choice. He emphasizes your right to choose. And somehow I think this is our biggest or our greatest right of all time, the right to choose. And the second book, this is really, I'm on the spot. I'm just gonna say Stay With Me. Stay With Me is a book about a married couple that cannot have children and how that affected them. And I think at some point he says that I didn't know that there was a point where love cannot be enough, where love cannot cover anything until I could not have a child. So just how society is fixated on the woman not being able to have children than the man being the problem. So I think that was also a highlight for me. And families' influences in relationships, how the other family is protecting their son, but in this instance, the entire family, the wife's family and the guy's family, were thinking she's the problem when he was the problem. And just the betrayal surrounding that, how the family would bring women to this guy, and it just messed up the entire relationship.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Now I need to find a third book. One is Relationship Goals by Mike Todd. I just love how relatable it is, and the tone of his book. So he writes the book in the manner that he speaks. So if you've watched these videos before, you'll see that this is the same pastor who wrote this book, is the same pastor who preaches on YouTube, basically. But I think for me then, it was more about how he highlights every season of your life as a relationship. So even your singleness is a relationship with yourself, where you ought to grow yourself. Yeah.
Jeez. Top 3, I will look into reading them. I definitely, for me, I think I'm keen to check out the Mike Todd book, because I've heard a couple of people praise Mike Todd, him and Stephen Furtick.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to hear pastors speak deeper than just preaching the word. So I think I'll definitely start with your number 3 of top 3. But yeah, look, thank you very much for that. I think we've learned a bit, not a bit actually, we've learned a lot, because I think for me it was very important that we talk about reading, we understand what reading really is, and I mean the benefits thereof. Right? I think
so I just also want to say that we were raised to be scared of reading. We were raised to be scared of reading. We were not encouraged to read, and that's because it was set apart for certain people. Okay. And that's another myth that we need to dispel, that reading is for specific people. If you're an athlete, you can read. You can read what you need to read, and you can read other books. Again, life lessons are everywhere. They're not just in certain things or allocated for certain people. They're for everyone. So we all have to read. I think the notion was that if you're smart, then you must read. The nerds are the readers. They have to read. But the books that I'm reading now are more about life lessons than they are about like being an attorney or being a doctor or the likes. But it's for everyone, and I hope and I wish that everyone gets into it. Not because not because not because it's for certain people, but because you are going to grow as a person, and you're going to have a view on certain things, and you really want to have a view on things in life. You really do want to have a view, because these are the same discussions that we need to have in our households. When we speak about, I talk a lot, when we speak about certain issues that are taking place in our country, like rape, if we don't read certain perspectives about them, we'll never be able to fix or to amend certain concepts or certain ideas that we have surrounding rape.
Because you're missing the underlying factors of the rape culture.
And how do you approach a discussion of rape with your own mother? Because she has her own beliefs about it.
Yeah.
So books will teach you how to have certain discussions and how to change to learn and unlearn. Because I also had perspectives about certain things that I am unlearning now, and learning that actually this is what I want to believe in, or the stance that I would like to take because of X, Y, Z.
And how many books would you suggest a person starting, or just how many books do you suggest a person, like let's even not even talk about a person starting, how many books do you suggest a person needs to read a year?
I would not suggest any number. Like I said, tailor yourself.
Cool.
Once you commit yourself and say, this is what Brian wants to get this year, this is what I want to learn. I want to learn about money, I want to learn about eating healthy, I want to learn about Africa, I want to read more novels about Africa. How many can I do in a year? What can I commit myself to? The first thing I think is discipline.
Yeah.
So if you commit yourself to one book, that is enough. You know something.
Cool.
You know, so I wouldn't give a specific number, but just getting into the discipline of saying, this is what I want to achieve this year. Am I able to achieve it? That's enough.
Jeez. That's actually insightful, because that question came from a couple of videos that I've watched where they go, you know, the average CEO is reading 20 books per year, or I don't know, they go through one book a month or one book a week. So I think that's another pressure that people have. You know, they feel like for them to be worthy of being called a reader, you should match that level of intensity when it comes to reading. So that's why I'm asking that question.
I think again, knowledge does not translate into action. Knowledge does not translate into wisdom. You can read 100 books a year and still not be able to even interact with people, and still not be able to have healthy discussions, and still not be wise. So it means nothing. I can read one book this year, and I'll know other people who read thousands this year, but there's nothing there. That's why I always say, what do you want to get out of the book? Are you able to implement what you're trying to get out of the book? Are you going to live wisely based on what you got out of the book? And when I said like reading and faith and what you believe in, the point is that whatever you get out of the book, you must be able to live wisely from it. So when you are sifting things, you're sifting the things that you think are not going to lead you into the right path based on the path that you want to follow. So honestly, tailor yourself. I have not even started my reads for 2021. I am rereading a book I read last year.
Jeez, that's beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we really appreciate your time and your insight. Really hope that we can have another one.
Yeah, one that's a bit more fun.
No, they're all fun. I think just the most important is getting the information, the insight. I mean, it's not always fun, but I think people learn from these conversations. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your podcast, and congratulations for starting one. And I loved it. You guys need to listen to Brian's first podcast. It's really good, and I love what the aim and the goal of the podcast is. Again, if it's educational, if it's more about developing people and growth, I am for it.
Please do Please do subscribe. Please do like. Please share. Enjoy it. Please do follow Kensani on Instagram. What's your handle?
At Kensani. It's just Kensani Claudia. Yeah. Kensani Claudia. You'll find me if you just search for that.
Perfect. And YouTube.
It's Kensani Claudia as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Please do go check her out. You will love her content. Most of what we spoke about, she makes mention of it on IGTV. And enjoy.
Thank you.